All right, get ready because today we're going on a trip, and not just any trip.
No, not just any trip.
We're diving deep into a universe that's right inside you, your microbiome.
Which is way more interesting than it sounds.
Way more. And actually even more mind-boggling than that sci-fi novel you just couldn't put down. You know the one.
Another one.
The one you were telling me about.
That's right. But the microbiome is even more complex than that. What's so fascinating is that it's not just a random assortment of microbes, but a whole intricate ecosystem.
With its own checks and balances, everything.
Precisely. Our source, Area, really nailed that whole inner kingdom idea to describe it, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I love that analogy. It really drives home the point that we're more like a collection of organisms all working together, not just individuals.
It's true. We're like walking, talking ecosystems.
Right. But before anyone tunes out thinking this is just another episode about gut health, let's be clear. It's so much bigger than just your gut.
So much bigger. Your gut is a major hub, don't get me wrong, but we're talking trillions, and I mean trillions of microorganisms.
39 trillion to be exact.
Living on your skin, in your lungs, basically everywhere.
It's like this whole other dimension existing right here with us, and it's made up of bacteria, viruses, fungi.
Even those ancient archaea that Arvia talked about.
And here's the kicker.
The kicker is that most of these microbes aren't harmful at all.
Not even a little.
Nope.
Yep.
In fact, many are crucial for keeping us healthy.
No way.
It's true. It's this perfectly balanced, mutually beneficial arrangement. We give them a place to live, and in return, they help us out in countless ways.
Like what?
Like digesting our food, for one. They help regulate our immune systems. And get this, some even influence our mood and behavior.
Wait, hold on. Microbes messing with our moods. Okay, now we're getting to the truly weird and wonderful stuff. Tell me more about that.
Well, you know how serotonin is often called the happy hormone?
Who doesn't?
Turns out, a good portion of it is actually produced in the gut.
You're kidding, not just the brain.
Nope. Researchers are finding more and more evidence that communication between our gut and our brain is a two-way street.
So you're saying if I'm feeling down, it might not just be in my head, it could actually be linked to my gut health.
It's a definite possibility. It's a growing area of research.
Wow, this is incredible. It seems these tiny organisms might have a much bigger impact on our lives than we ever imagined.
Bigger than we can even comprehend at this point, and we're only just beginning to understand it all.
Okay, now I'm even more curious about how this whole inner world actually works. Let's break it down. We know these microbes are essential, but what are they actually doing in there, and how do we make sure we're keeping them happy?
That's the million-dollar question. And luckily for us, our Ilaria touched on that as well. Let's start with the basics.
So we've established that our microbiome is like this bustling metropolis of microbes, all playing different roles. It's incredible how they can impact everything from our digestion to our mood. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go back to those microbial citizens and their daily routines. What are some of their most important jobs?
Well, imagine this. You sit down for a meal, maybe something with a good amount of fiber, like a hearty lentil soup with whole grain bread. Now, our bodies aren't great at breaking down every bit of that fiber on their own.
Right, we need some help with that.
Exactly. And that's where our gut microbes step in like expert dismantlers, especially those complex carbohydrates. They ferment them, breaking them down into smaller, more manageable components that our bodies can actually absorb and utilize.
It's like having a built-in sous chef with a serious knack for fermentation.
Exactly. And it's not just about breaking down food. They're also busy building things. For instance, did you know that certain gut bacteria are actually responsible for producing essential vitamins?
Wait, really? We're not just reliant on food for those vitamins. Our bodies are producing them with the help of our microbiome.
You got it. It's a fascinating example of just how interconnected we are with our microbiome. For example, vitamin K, which is crucial for blood clotting, some of that is made right in your gut. And biotin, which plays a vital role in energy metabolism. Yep, your gut microbes contribute to that too. We give them a place to thrive, and they, in turn, contribute to our health and well-being in ways we're only beginning to understand.
Okay, that's mind-blowing. But you mentioned earlier that our microbiome is also our first line of defense when it comes to immunity. How does that work? I always thought of microbes as the enemy when it comes to getting sick.
That's a common misconception. While some microbes can definitely cause disease, many others are incredibly beneficial, even essential for a healthy immune system.
So which ones are the good guys?
Well, think of it this way. Our gut is like a training ground for our immune system. All those different microbes in there are constantly interacting with our immune cells, teaching them to distinguish between friend and foe.
Interesting. So the more diverse the microbiome, the stronger our defenses.
Precisely. A diverse microbiome exposes our immune system to a wider range of microbes, teaching it to differentiate between harmless substances and harmful pathogens. It's like having a well-trained security force that can identify and neutralize threats more effectively.
That makes a lot of sense. So variety is key for a well-trained internal security team, but I imagine things can go wrong in this complex system, right? What happens when this delicate balance is thrown off?
You're right, just like any ecosystem, balance is crucial. And when that balance is disrupted, it can lead to a whole host of problems, a state we call dysbiosis. And that's where things can get really interesting, or not so much, depending on your perspective.
So when our inner city, so to speak, falls into disarray, what kind of issues start cropping up? What happens when our gut microbiome is out of balance?
Well, that's what's so fascinating about this whole area of research scientists are discovering links between dysbiosis and a whole range of health issues. And we're not just talking about digestive problems. We're talking everything from inflammatory bowel disease and obesity to even mental health conditions like anxiety and depression. It really highlights how interconnected our bodies are.
It's incredible, isn't it? That gut-brain connection is no joke. So it's not just our physical health that's impacted, but our mental well-being too.
Exactly. Yeah. Remember we were talking about that two-way communication between the gut and the brain. When your gut is struggling, dealing with dysbiosis, it can actually send distress signals to your brain.
And those signals can impact things like
Mood, for one, sleep, even cognitive function can be affected. Think about how often you feel sluggish or irritable after a few days of not-so-healthy eating. Chances are your gut microbiome is trying to tell you something.
It's true. I definitely noticed those patterns in myself. Our source specifically mentioned inflammatory bowel disease, or IBD. What's the connection there with dysbiosis?
Well, with IBD, you have this chronic inflammation in the digestive tract. And while the exact causes are complex and still being investigated, an imbalanced gut microbiome is believed to be a major contributor. It's like this vicious cycle. The inflammation disrupts the delicate ecosystem of the microbiome, and then the disrupted microbiome further fuels the inflammation.
So it's like a fire that keeps feeding itself, making the problem worse and worse. What can we do to break that cycle? Let's say someone is listening to this right now and thinking, okay, this is all fascinating, but what can I actually do about it? What are some practical steps we can take to, maybe do a little internal landscaping, cultivate a more thriving inner ecosystem?
I love that analogy. And the good news is that we have more power than we often realize. Our diet is a powerful tool for shaping our gut microbiome.
So what? We put down the processed foods and back away slowly.
Essentially, think about providing a diverse buffet for your microbial citizens.
I like where you're going with this.
We want to create a thriving, diverse ecosystem in there. And that means feeding those good bacteria what they love. Aim for a wide range of fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, foods, rich in fiber, which acts as food for those beneficial bacteria.
It's like tending a garden. You need the right variety to create a resilient, healthy ecosystem, right?
Precisely. And speaking of variety, let's not forget about fermented foods. Those are great for gut health.
Yeah, I was just about to ask about those. I've heard those are teeming with probiotics.
You heard right. Fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, they're like little probiotic powerhouses. They're full of live beneficial bacteria. Think of it as giving your gut a boost of reinforcements, helping to repopulate those good bacteria.
Probiotics, like sending in the good guys to fight for the good side. And we can get those through supplements too, right?
Exactly. Supplements can be a helpful tool, especially after a round of antibiotics or if you're dealing with some digestive upset. But as always, it's wise to have a chat with your doctor before starting any new supplements, just to make sure they're right for you.
Makes sense. What about stress? We've talked a lot about how chronic stress can throw our gut into disarray. How can we address that in our daily lives? It's not like we can just snap our fingers and make stress disappear.
That's such a crucial point. Stress management isn't just about mental well-being, it's deeply intertwined with gut health. Finding healthy ways to manage stress, whether it's exercise, meditation, spending time in nature, or even just listening to your favorite music, whatever helps you unwind, can have a profoundly positive impact on your gut microbiome. It's about creating a more peaceful internal environment, which allows those good bacteria to thrive.
It's like creating a sanctuary for your inner city. Love that analogy. And on the topic of creating a peaceful environment, we can't forget about sleep.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of sleep. Sleep deprivation has been linked to gut dysbiosis. Aim for those solid 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night, and your gut will thank you.
Okay, so we're talking about prioritizing sleep, managing stress, eating a diverse, fiber-rich diet, and maybe adding in some fermented foods or probiotics. Seems doable.
It absolutely is. And the exciting thing is that research in this field is constantly evolving. We're just beginning to scratch the surface of understanding this complex inner world and its impact on our overall health and well-being.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? So, as we wrap things up here, what does this all mean for our listeners out there? What's the big takeaway, the one thing you really hope they remember about this incredible world living inside them?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. You have more agency than you might realize when it comes to your health. By making conscious choices about your diet, lifestyle, and how you manage stress, you can directly impact the trillions of tiny organisms that play such a vital role in your overall health and well-being.
You've got voting rights in this inner world, folks. Make your voice heard through your choices. And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought-provoking question. If your gut could talk, what changes would it be urging you to make? Think about it. And until next time, happy deep diving.